All right, Aaron, here's your new Washington right here. So I got the fans on. You can probably hear them a little bit. I'll leave those on. You can figure out what's the best setting for you to kind of have them kick on for your operation style. I did name the band for you here. Span function is on, so you know it's in the 10K, but you can span anywhere you want, wherever the radio will allow you anyways, just based on where that number flashes, so it'll get you around wherever you want to go. I don't really particularly like to use the band setting on a radio like this. It's kind of useless when you have this. But that's up to you, however you want to use it. I mean, I don't personally particularly use these radios a whole lot, so but it's a good radio. People really like them and stuff, so you know, I'm kind of particular for what I like. I like a little more AM performance, and this is kind of lacking in my opinion a little bit there, so that's the only reason why I mentioned the 955 HPC Plus to you. I think it's a little more well-rounded radio. If you don't like how it looks, that's understandable. A lot of guys prefer the look of this radio, so it's all about what somebody likes and what they don't like. And there's a lot of different options on the market. There's a lot of older radios still on the market that are still being sold as new because they are new, and a lot of guys have kind of given up on them too. So you know, it just depends on what somebody likes and wants and all that stuff. But you know, some guys always have to have sideband in a radio. I can live without it. I got plenty of other models I can hook up to talk on sideband. Some radios are better as AM only, I think, in the grand scheme of things. But let's kind of show you what's going on here. Just using a President mic. You can run the KPO mic that you got from me a while ago. What you want to do there is just go into the menu and switch this to it's going to be up in this situation up here, mic type dynamic. So it won't do anything now with this mic. So and it does very little because there's nothing being sent to the cartridge. So with this mic, you don't want to leave it in dynamic. So we're just going to test the radio. Dead key on this is about 5 watts right now on AM, and it's swinging up. 1, 2, 3. I don't have that bird meter on peak. There we go. That's 100 watt in that bird meter. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Check, check, check. I don't necessarily agree with what the bird meter showing as much because it's a 100 watt scale, and you know the meters aren't as accurate when you're in the lower portion of the reading of the watt meter element. So I trust the LP100 way more, but it's fairly close at times, so you know it's good enough. I did lower U, so you can turn your dead key way down to like a 1/2 watt. So at a 1/2 watt, it does about 4 watts, which is pretty good, I guess, for that carrier. And then all the way up. It's sitting about 16 watts, but with the fans going and stuff, and as the radio heats up, the carrier kind of creeps up. But there's your peak envelope power on AM, so it's about 80 watts. The bird's showing slightly more, but anywhere around 80 watts is what the radio will do. See, I don't like running a radio like that. There's no reason that I would ever need a 16 watt dead key for anything. So that I'm not really particular to this radio because of the way the AM functionality is. If you're not an AM operator, then it's probably fine. Here's single sideband for you right here. So it's doing a little over 80 watts. They're quoted at about 80, and that's what I'm seeing here, about 90 at times. So depending on what meter you're watching or whatever. So it's doing fine. They are good talking sideband radios. I mean, they're nice and clear on AM. It's not that they're not good talking radios. I just kind of go for a little more performance on AM, and I think that this radio is kind of missing that a little bit. Turn that to level 5. So at level 5 on the radio, it kind of cuts the power back, as you would expect, to about 50%. And then level 2, it's about, you know, a quarter or so of what the radio does, maybe slightly less, but and then at level 1, 1 2 3 1 2 3 check check check, a little less. So I wouldn't recommend running any like small amplifiers like 203s or anything with this radio. You got an 80 watt radio here, just run it. If that's the kind of power you want to do, then just run it. Some guys don't understand that, I guess. You know, you don't buy a higher power radio if you want to run a RM Italy 203 with your radio. I've seen some guys on a Facebook group I do for the Quad 6 Pro and stuff, that the guy was saying that he wants to use a 203 with that radio. I don't understand the logic in that, but who am I to say? The radio is going to have a much cleaner output than that nasty little 203 amp. So that's what I say. But it doesn't matter what I say. People have their own opinions and beliefs. But the radio's doing its thing. There's no question about it. So that's how it looks there on sideband. Looks pretty good. And this is AM right here, so it's pretty good, you know, with the carrier all the way up. But again, I don't like to run a high carrier like that. You know, I'm not partial to that. I don't want to have to run high carrier to get high power. And if that makes my signal a little bit more dirty on a scope, then so be it. But I like to run a certain way, and you know, with a single tone, the signal looks fine. Well, when you modulate, sometimes radios that have that bigger punch and stuff, they don't look as good on a scope. And if you don't understand that, then I would recommend buying some test equipment and finding that stuff out for yourself. But this one is, it is what it is. It's a good radio. And you got a nice warranty from President and everything, so I think you'll enjoy it. You got the George. I really like that radio for a CB. Personally, I'm more partial just to talk on the George. If I was going to talk on a newer style radio and a CB radio, I'd just talk on the George. Because anything this radio does, I don't really need for my operating style. You know, as long as I'm perfectly happy talking on a Uniden 76XL, a Grand XL, a Pro whatever, 510 even sometimes. It doesn't matter to me. 640E, I got an 810E. I kind of like just the simpler radios anymore, but a lot of guys like the newer stuff, so this is probably, in some people's mind, probably President's best radio. I would say no. I prefer my HR 2510 any day of the week over this, but that's just because I like an older style radio. But like I said, it's gonna be ready to roll for you. And if you want to shut your fans off, then you can do that here. This is at 20C. That's where they kick on, pretty much stay on. So if you wanted it to be like where it would probably turn on more, but with a little bit of thermostat control, I guess you probably would want to keep it maybe about there. They did shut off, so probably if you talk a lot on sideband with this, let's see if we can't get it to turn on. Right now it's at 78 degrees, so let's just try to heat this thing up a little bit and kind of see maybe where that kicks on. And for those that are in Europe and stuff, you probably would already know, you know, you may not know the Fahrenheit equivalent, just like we don't know the Celsius equivalent, but I'm going to say somewhere around about right there, 86 degrees is where it kicked on. So that's not a bad spot to keep it. I mean, if you're gonna buy the fans and use them, you might as well use them all the time. And you know, if you're just sitting in the car, or I'm not sure if you're gonna run this in the base or whatever, you're better off leaving them at a low temperature threshold. That way they run more, you know, because you might as well keep the radio as cool as you can. But it seems like around 80 some degrees Fahrenheit is where they kick on at that 30C mark. So yep, like I say, this is the President Washington. I've done a lot of videos on these, so I'm not gonna take too much time more on that. And I'm gonna get this in your V58 heading your way, so I appreciate you picking one of those up for me. I think you'll like it. I don't know if we're gonna, originally you had wanted me to ship it, and I don't know if you change your mind or whatever. You'll just have to get with me on that. So Anyways, 73 for now, everybody, and we'll catch you on the next one. I think I got a Lincoln 2 Plus coming up.